Here we are at the 60th annual annual business meeting, and today we have two very special guests with us this morning. Our very own David Spencer and Jim Sayers of the ICC Board of Directors. Welcome, y'all.
Thank you.
So we're gonna learn a lot from Jim and Dave today.
We got to wrangle them in.
We did.
They're very reluctant to do this, but you know what? We got them here, so we're
And
happy to have them.
and we color coordinated so
Yes.
that we would match for everybody today. So that's a good thing.
And we do apologize for us being a little kind of oompa loompish. The lighting here is crazy, but we're live and we're here to give you some awesome content.
So with that, let's kick it off with Jim. Jim, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's I love coming down to Calbo event, chasing a little golf ball around on the first day, and then getting to meet and greet new friends and share some time with old friends. So yeah, happy to be here.
Very awesome. And how about you, Dave?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here. It's great to see everybody again. I've grown tired of Hollywood squares, of seeing everybody on the screen. So it's great to just see everybody, and it's great to have Calbo have us here and be part of the event.
That's right. We're going to have to trade up those Hollywood squares for Hollywood stars on the screen now, right?
So one thing we did have a golf tournament here at Calvo. It was an awesome event. Cecilia almost killed me twice with a golf cart by tipping it over. We did run into David and Jim out on the course. So how was your game? How was your game overall?
Well, we had it. It was very windy,
Yes.
so that gave me an opportunity to blame my bad shots on something. So, but and on top of that, the wind brought in the dust storm, and kind of felt like you were getting sandblasted out there.
So for you guys that have never been in a dust storm, just imagine the scenes from The Mummy Returns. So that's what it was like over here. It was just insane. You saw wind blowing, and the wind does hurt. I mean, the dust does hurt when it hits you. I didn't realize that, but it does.
The greatest thing about my golf game is it's very cheap because I don't pay greens fees because I'm never on them.
That's so true. So we're going to dive in a little bit. It's beautiful out here, but we want to know about what is going on with ICC. We have Louisville coming up in just some months. And so what are some good things that you want to share about ICC's ABM?
I would say that the vendors are coming back. Some of the normal, typical things that members are used to are coming back. Obviously, things will still be in a transition. There'll be a little bit of hybrid stuff, but it will be good back to everybody. Good, get you back to code development. That's what I would say.
It's it's going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, and notice I said Louisville, not Louisville. So I'm trying to get this right before I get there. But there's going to be a lot of fun things that people can do while they're there. There's just Muhammad Ali Museum. There's the Louisville Slugger. There's the Bourbon Trail. Lots of really neat things in Louisville, and let's not forget the Churchill Downs. So there'll be a lot of fun events for people to attend while they're there. But the main thing, like David just mentioned, it's going to be great to have more people attending again, and the expo is something that was truly missed last year.
And I think networking is one of the most important components of a lot of these conferences because, it's good to see everybody on Zoom and get to know them. But when you actually get to see them, it's just, you can't compare it. Like right now, there's a couple events going on. There's a leadership breakfast going on right now for the chapter.
together to even have those conversations so that we continue to grow that educational component. What are some of the exciting things that we're working on currently on some of the committees?
Some of the things we're working on in the committees, I'd have to think about that for a second. What do you think?
Well, one of the important things that we do every year is the CEO evaluation, where the board takes critical, not critical bad, but an in-depth critical look at how our CEO is doing. And it's really nice to be able to say that we have a great CEO, we have a great staff. It really gives us a lot of confidence when we are able to talk to people about that and say, that we feel like the leadership on the staff side is really awesome.
Right.
One of the other important things we're working on, we have the strategic plan, and the strategic plan has been in place. And one of those things is talking about what is the future of ICC, the organization. The organization has to continue to grow, has to continue to develop, to do its critical thing, which is support the code development process and all that. So the board is working on considering those things and working with our CEO, Dominic Sims. What is the future of ICC? What does it look like from a corporate structure, those kinds of things? And I hope that the membership sees that we as a board have done those things to make sure that the organization remains sustainable, long-term, and is there to support the members and the code development process.
Right, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest, I think, components for me when I first got involved with ICC starting early in my career, is understanding the certification component, the training component, training opportunities. But being a part of the board shadow program a few years ago just was a huge eye-opener for me, because I got to meet a little bit more in depth of what ICC really truly is about, as far as the different pockets of contributions that it makes to our building safety membership. And in addition to that, to just have a platform to really build up that mentorship component and latch yourself onto those that are within this community of building industry professionals, so that you can have somebody that you can tap into should you have any questions, should you need that additional mentorship, or if you want to get more involved. So the ELMC is one that I know that I still communicate a lot with, as far as I join the meetings and I kind of stay in tune as to what they're doing. Jim and Dave and other board members are actually a staple at those meetings. They join those meetings as well and try to really be in the know as to what it is that they can further support within our organization. But you know what? This wouldn't be a true live if we didn't peel back some of those layers of that onion. So we're going to actually get to know a little bit more about Jim, his early years in the building safety industry, what motivated him to get started, how he got started, and a little bit of his journey to today.
No pressure, no
No
pressure.
pressure, Jim.
Well, I'll tell my story. So I was a building designer, so I came from the design side. I had my own shop, was designing a lot of custom homes, doing some small commercial work, and teaming up with a local engineer to do some school work and prison work. And in 1995, the amount of work that was out there kind of faded, and I needed to find something to fill in and also to make the ends meet. So I went to the local jurisdiction and said, "You need anybody to do any plan review?" Because I picked up a plan review cert along the way, and so they ended up hiring my company to do residential plan review 20 hours a week for a year. So I got done with that, and I thought, I kind of enjoy this. I think I'll look into it. So I applied for a job in Bothell, Washington, and I got that. Spent 7 years in 2 different jurisdictions in Washington, and came back to Oregon as a building official. And from there, went from Baker City to Tualatin, and now I'm at Oregon City, a building official there, a jurisdiction of about 40,000 people. It's a neat community. It's an old community, a lot of historic buildings. I enjoy that. Enjoy the industry.
Yeah.
It feels good to be able to help somebody get to yes on their dream project.
Yeah.
You can get caught up in the whole, we're just reviewing plans, doing inspections, blah, blah, blah. But to really be helping somebody do what they're going to do once or twice in a lifetime.
Mhm.
And it's their whole dream. So if we can help them through it, shepherd them, and get to that yes, that sometimes there's a little bit of a struggle, but
Right.
it feels really good to help people in that manner.
Absolutely. And we always say that when we're in this industry, you're not in it for as long as you're in it because it simply just is a job that takes care of the bills and all the basic necessities. But it really is because we have a direct desire to serve the communities that we represent and to build the next, group of industry professionals that are up and coming. I always say that when we go to career fairs, we have our staple presenters. We have our law enforcement, our fire inspectors, we have our doctors, our attorneys. And one of the things that I'd like to see change in that we're actually working on with schools is even bringing in the trades, talking about what the trades are, how that's also a really valuable profession, because we are making sure that we're staying in tune with building safe housing for folks. We're wanting to make sure that we're even continuing the maintenance of it after it's built, really ensuring that we're providing those housing opportunities within our industry itself. So, Dave, what about you?
What about me? Well, I actually tell people that I was truly born into this industry because my father started his construction business when I was 5. And so then I worked for him for many years, all the way up well out of high school, probably 10 plus years or so. And then I left for a little while, came back. So I spent probably 20, 25 years. And in my mid 30s, I had gotten to a point where I kind of had a natural knack to try and learn more about the codes. And truly and honestly, in my environment, it felt like I didn't believe all of the things I was being told that I needed to do. So I decided I'm going to get into it myself. And I found out once I got into it, most of everything was truly they were trying to do it. It was very rare. But it was really about what I called the presentation, how they were presenting it. So I got an inspector job, had a building official took a chance on me, worked for him for a while, went back to a county that I grew up in, worked for them. The economy took a downturn, big downturn. Found myself unemployed for the first time in my life at about 37 years old and decided to move to the west side of Seattle and worked in some jurisdictions, building official there. And I've always taken the mindset of, we're supposed to be the experts, so we need to help people understand and teach them. Because I think if you teach them about the code and the things, they want to do the right thing. Maybe what they're doing is what they've learned, how they've experienced it, and maybe they don't understand it. But if you help them and they start to understand it, inherently, most human beings want to do the right thing. And it will actually make your job easier. You got to put time and effort in at that beginning. And the other thing that I've done in my career is honestly try and promote others. I've had people that have been plans examiners for me that I've encouraged are now building officials, all kinds of things like that. And they tell me I wouldn't be there without you. I'm like, no, you just needed somebody to encourage you. You already had it in you. And so I really enjoy that part. So my part is, being building official, serving in an operations role right now, helping others. I enjoy helping others and getting, like Jim said, help them through that process. Finding a way to a yes doesn't mean that you forgo code or this, but helping them understand. They say, well, I want to do this. And you say, well, you got to do this. And they say, I don't want to do that part. Well, did you think about if you change this a little bit? And they may, well, I don't want to change. I will encourage them to take all of that information, go think about it for a while, and come back with what they believe they would like to have within the process we need to do. And I think that they feel that they have options that way.
You know what, Dave, you and Jim both touched on something very special, because a lot of times the building department is the first point of contact that a homeowner has, whether they're getting a permit. And, you said you wanted to get them to yes. A lot of people, they don't get permits. Some people do get permits. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to realize that dream of theirs, right? The other portion is, going out and working with the contractors, that you're that public face. You're always working with letting them know, hey, this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is why it needs to be done. You guys become stewards of, your profession, which is very, it's a very good thing. And then you touched upon, molding the next generation of people and encouraging them. I remember when we started this podcast, you're one of our first guests. horrible technical problems, kind of like a little bit like today, but still.
That's what happens when you do it from a car.
Right? And we're doing it live from Rancho Mirage in a dust storm. So, hey, bear with us. But end of the day, you know what? We really appreciate that. And not only that, but both of you took a step forward in joining the actual board, running for the board. And that's a scary thing because you know what? It kind of goes like, wow, now I have to get support from all these chapters and I do this thing. But the bigger picture is, you know, now you're giving back to your members. And I think that's a very admirable thing. So, you know, for both of you, how did you guys actually, you know, decide, hey, let me run for this big 70,000 member board?
Well, for me, it was when I attended my first ABM. I met a gentleman named oh my gosh, this is terrible. Gilbert Gonzalez. I'm sorry. I feel bad that I forgot his name for a second, but Gilbert became very special to me. He noticed that I was new. He could tell I was new because I was walking around probably just going, where am I going? What am I doing? And he came up to me and he said, stick with me, I'll show you around. You know, he didn't need to do that. I was just some stranger. He was very, very kind, very helpful. He later ran for the board a couple of years later and was elected. And, you know, he became a mentor for me, somebody that I wanted to emulate. There were others too, but Gilbert he just stuck out to me. I decided that one day I was going to run for the board, and I was looking forward to serving on the board with Gilbert. Unfortunately, in 2016, Gilbert passed away. Miss him so much, but 2 years later, I was elected to the board. Get a little emotional about that, but you know, he's somebody that means a lot to a lot of people in our industry because he was one of those people that had a heart, really had a heart for the people that he worked with and worked for. And I think that's where the mentorship part of what I enjoy came in, because he mentored me, others mentored me, and I feel it's I don't want to say duty because it sounds like you have to do this, but I have this compulsion to be able to help others become better at what they're doing and be successful. And so I take a lot of, I don't want to say pride either. Got to be careful with these crazy words, but it's, you know, this industry gave to me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like now I get an opportunity to give back.
And you know what? When we do these segments, I mean, they're live, so they're raw. I mean, you know, what you're feeling is, you know, we see it. I mean, you're here talking to a big audience about, you know, about giving back, whether it's your duty or not. I mean, we do this because we love promoting people. We love putting out the information for anybody that's watching. It's just that's what we do. That's what you're doing here today. You know, you're here at ABM. You didn't have to come to ABM. You too. You guys are here on your own accord. And you know what? You're networking with the members, and that's something that, you know, not a lot of folks do. It's important for us to say, hey, you know what? You see that lost person, you're looking around. We see that all the time. And it's one of those things where, you know, hey, come on, you're one of us. And, you know, last night 2 nights ago, we just shooting the breeze around a dinner, and we're just talking shop till we almost got kicked out of the dining room because we're so into our talk, and it doesn't even feel like work, but it's work, and we love it, and that's what we do, right?
Right.
So for me, I would say when I moved to the west side and I was building official of the jurisdiction, and I had a gentleman, his name is John Darnell, and he had served on the board, now retired, and I kind of translated into, he was probably the one at the time, he little engine that could, maybe I just didn't know where I was going, and he kind of said, hey, did you ever think about, and I got involved in exam and testing committees and things like that, and then I was on government relations in Washington, and the year that Guy Tumberlin was there, I received Code Official of the Year for 2015 in Washington. So I really got to know Guy Tumberlin. I actually went on a fishing trip, believe it or not, when Cashel Chevy came out. So just being with people saying, hey, did you think about, hey, let's go this way? Bringing people along that said, you know, introduce me to people. And over time, what happened is they saw something in me and they recognized something in me. Maybe I didn't even recognize it myself, or maybe I didn't even realize at the time what the possibilities were, and started going to the code development hearings, getting to know people like Bill Bryant and all of those things, Jay Alvatar, and just getting to know those people. And they saw something in me and they started saying, hey, have you ever thought about, did you think? And it was basically a 5-year journey for me to get to there. And now, people come up and they say, hey, Mr. Spencer, this, that. And I said, hey, I'm just Dave. I'm just,
Yeah.
I come say hi to me. I'll say hi to you. We'll encourage you to be there. Maybe you don't want to be on the board. Maybe you want to be on an exam and testing committee. Maybe you love code development. Whatever your passion is, there's tons of opportunity in all that we do.
Yeah, and it reminds me of my military days. I was in the Navy, and sometimes you call a chief, hey, sir. He goes, I work for a living.
I'd love to add that David and I have known each other for quite a while. We both worked for Region 2 of ICC. We went through the chairs together. I was president while Dave was vice president, and it's been a great friendship, and it's great to see David be successful. I've enjoyed the opportunity to be successful and have the opportunity to serve on the board of directors. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise of people that are there, and I'm not just talking about ability as in code development. They're people that really care about the organization and the members that make up that organization, and it's an honor to be part of it.
Wait, and to that point, Jim, you mentioned that you and David have known each other for a long time. When did you first meet? Where did you first meet?
Boy, I don't know exactly where we first met. We obviously, OBOA or WABO, we kind of would see each other here and there. And then when Region 2 was kind of formed, we were kind of there at the beginning. We served on some little, some chairs, of some things, government relations chair or code development chair. And then as the time went along, us being involved, others encouraging us to be involved, I think it would be the same thing. Those that formed Region 2 kind of saw something in us and kind of said, hey, you need to move up. There was that encouragement, and I think that's what we've done beyond. We've now, since we've left the Region 2 thing, we're still involved in Region 2. We definitely stay back from that. If they ask, we advise or give them a little bit of history, but Region 2 runs Region 2, and we're there to just give them some, I guess, history of why we might have done what we did or what we did. But I would say our friendship was before that, but we spent so much time together. Our friendship even has gone beyond that now, and I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's a day there's probably a day. I think there's at least 2-3 times a week we talk to each other on the phone.
Yeah.
And it may be about a board thing, or maybe a Region 2 thing, or maybe him and I are just checking in with each other about how things are going with his wife or my wife or his dogs or,
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the beauty about this industry is that you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know whether that's going to be a lasting friendship or how long you'll know each other. But this is a true testament of that. Coming in, networking, building your friendships. It goes beyond just saying, I know somebody in the industry in Florida or New York or, California. It really solidifies even friendships where you rely on each other a lot as far as, shooting back and forth, any conversation about a particular thing that may come up that you want a little bit guidance on, but really honing in on that friendship component. So one of the things that really stood out for me was the accessibility component to even this industry. And a lot of the times, for those of us that are fairly new, we tend to be a little shy, a little bashful. We're like, I don't know if I want to approach the board. I don't know if they're approachable. They're the ICC board. How do I go up and say hi, introduce myself? But as you can see, they're very approachable, right? It's all about, hey, come on over, say hi. They're going to talk to you. They're going to say, hey, what's your name? What are you about? Where are you from? And the accessibility is what I really enjoyed about ICC is that you can't just go up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I saw you from afar. I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. Can I email you? Can I call you? And we've met when I was at the board shadow program, and now I'm like stuck to them because I'm like I'm gonna latch on.
I think we're kind of stuck to you,
Right?
Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I see them, and I want to ask, hey, how's it going? How are things? And you keep in touch with folks, and that's really what builds this industry up a little bit more. Going back to the point that I said, it's not necessarily just a job per se, but it really truly is a career, a profession, and an everlasting friendship with those that you meet throughout the conferencing, throughout even this industry itself. So for those up and coming industry professionals that want to come into perhaps getting involved with ICC, how would they do that? How would they reach out to a board member if they had questions?
I think like you just said, understand that we're just everyday folks.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else, and we're more than happy to share our story and the things that we think can be helpful. And I suppose one of the things that's really helpful thing is there are periodically calls for committee, and as those things come open, I'd encourage people, and I do on a regular basis, if you have any interest at all, apply. It might not be exactly what you think is the dream committee to be on, but if you're interested in being part of the organization, apply, get involved. Now that you've been on a committee, like I say, it might not be what you really want to be doing, but it got your foot in the door. And then when the next one comes along, maybe you're getting to do what you really want to be doing and what your heart is about. And but that's one of the best ways. The other thing is in code development, it's good to be part of the code development process, to have that opportunity during those code hearings to get up there on the mic. And it's a little overwhelming because those moderators can be a little scary. I mean, honestly, I get up there and it's like, don't touch the mic. But those are a couple of things that if people want to get involved, number one, don't be afraid to talk to a board member because we're regular folks. And number two, don't give up if you don't get picked for a committee the first time. Keep after it. It's just,
Right.
I had one of my mentors say to me one time, you have two options. A job is a job. Job is something that you get paid for. A career is something that you commit to, that you can do so many things beyond what is a job. And do you want to make it a career? And that's what I would look at. This is my career. My second career, I guess, because I was in construction before. And, like Jim said about committees, all that, I would say, ask people what it takes. If you have an interest, or your inspector or your code enforcement officer comes out, maybe you're in that situation, but they're there doing their job. It's part of their career. They have a passion about it, and if you ask them about it, they'll probably share with you their journey, and their journey may be like your journey, or they may help you with understanding how your journey could begin. And that's really the thing, and it's the journey. And I think that's the enjoyment of it, is the journey that you travel on. And you can, I think along the way, if you're doing the journey, you may find your passion. You don't know what your passion may be now. It may be code development. It may be exam and testing. It may be being in code compliance or code enforcement. I think you'll find your passion along the way. And so don't limit your possibilities.
Right, absolutely. And Jim, you mentioned how important Gilbert, right, was to you with mentorship, and I think it's safe to say, where I'm sitting right now, that Jim and David actually have folks that look up to them the same way that you looked up to Gilbert, and that is so amazing to see. Really being able to be accessible, really being able to be there for support, as you said, David, just now, that follow up and support. Let me know what you need. Starting out from plan review to getting to where he is right now as a board of director. Never really understanding that when you start in this industry that you may end up as a board of director on ICC, right? And for you, Dave, your mentor as well. I mean, we are thankful for the Gilberts of the world that exist out there, that continue to walk in the form of Jim Sayers and David Spencers and Pete Roquets, and even our very own Debbie Dorsey that's standing here helping us monitor this live. Those are the people that really help build, right? Those folks that really need that extra nudge or that extra push, or that, hey, you can do it. Keep up the good fight as far as getting your certs, like, you mentioned, you don't get on that committee, don't worry, keep trying. You're gonna get there eventually. It's gonna be really good. And so that's, I think, one of the things that I really enjoyed about my experience growing in this industry, and even more so meeting our board of directors, is being able to feel encouraged and empowered to do so. One of the things too that came out of that is a push for continuance of our Women Leaders in Code Enforcement Symposium. And I tell you that was an idea that I had on the back of my mind, because I wanted to provide a platform for women to feel comfortable coming into this industry. And when I reached out to ICC, there's not one person on this board that told me that's a bad idea. In fact, they were like, that's great, that's amazing, we want to be a part of that, we want to support you. And for the second year in a row, they supported us in that particular dream to put that out there, to be able to be of support to the up and coming professionals, and even expand that even so in our school system. So I know that both of you do a lot of work with even communities. I see a lot of Oregon get involved with, I think, is it Chemecca?
Yep.
Right? And lots of great stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Jim, you talk about Chemecca,
Well, sure.
Oregon.
I got it.
Chemecca Community College has been around a long time. Their building inspection technology program has I'll bet there isn't a jurisdiction in Oregon that doesn't have somebody linked to Chemecca.
Yeah.
During the recession times, things got tough and they had to close down their program. And since then, it's built back up, and they're just going great. Training up new code professionals that are filling roles in jurisdictions throughout Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and beyond. But one person I'd like to highlight a little bit, and you know him, is Danny Dabler. Now, Danny was president of the Chemecca chapter. Chemecca actually has an ICC chapter, and he was president. He had a horrible accident. He's now confined to a wheelchair. But the spirit that this guy has, I don't know if it might sound odd to say this. I don't know if it's a blessing in disguise or what, but he has wound up in a position where he is doing remote inspections for Clark County, Washington. Thank you, Jim Muir, for providing that position for him. And it's just the perfect role for him. Mm-hmm. And he's doing great. He loves what he's doing. David and I both have had opportunities to go and speak to Chemecca, had opportunities to swear in their officers for different chapter events. It's a unique chapter because the officers are all brand new each year. So they have to start over every year. And last year they were recognized as with a chapter merit award, which is pretty impressive for a bunch of college kids.
Yeah, right.
I would say that, there's an example of someone that's found their passion. Dan Carlson is the individual who does that program, who's a building official in Oregon. And Dan does an amazing job. And he is teaching future generations of code officials. And to tailor off what he said about Danny Dabler, I was at a WABO meeting, and Danny's up there, and he is presenting in front of the entire WABO membership about remote inspections and virtual inspections. And it was impressive to see what that young man has done and where he is. And talking with Jim Muir, Jim, talk about a visionary, said, Danny wanted to be plans examiner, and he said, you will be an inspector. And I remember talking to Danny, and Danny's like, I don't know. And I said, go with it, Danny, go with it. And to see what he is, being an inspector, running their virtual program, it is an amazing thing to see. And it's cool to just know Danny, Jim, and all of them that are involved in that process of one individual. It's an amazing thing just to watch.
Right.
If I could add one thing about Dan Carlson, I like to blame him for my involvement in ICC because we were at a Region 2 meeting when he nominated me to run for secretary position. So I blame Dan for me getting involved.
See, and sometimes that's the way it happens, right? You see the talent, you see the exceptional potential in someone, and you're like, I'm going to go for it for you because I know that you'll eventually realize your potential once we get there. So I think that's really great that he did that for you, Jim. You know, going back to Danny, I started seeing a lot of his involvement through his certifications, and he was just knocking them out. I mean, he was going through and studying, and I got another cert and another cert. And for those of us that have been in this industry for a while, we're like, oh man, I got to get it together. Danny's really going out there and doing the thing. He's putting us all to shame. But I got to say, Danny, the one thing that I know I picked up from your involvement in this industry, your dedication to yourself, to your success, but also motivating others, serving to encourage others that perhaps may feel like they can't reach that potential that you've reached. The fact that every time I've seen a photograph with you in it and your staple is your smile, that is awesome. That is awesome because a lot of the times folks look up to people and you see that smile and that's all you need. Like, oh, great, I got this. Danny did it. I can do it. You know, it goes back to, again, being approachable, being accessible. I know Alyssa Stone, I think, was also in Jamaica and she got her certification. So watching even Alyssa, you know, go through her process, her journey of really focusing and investing in herself has been really great. So kudos to Jamaica for doing that. I know I'm always watching what they're doing. I'm like, wow, that's really great.
Just for you guys that don't know, Cecilia's an avid stalker. So she watches everybody. She's like, hey, why are you wearing that green shirt? I'm like, I don't know. But yes, no, we do pay attention to our industry.
Yeah.
You know, we pay attention, you know, on their rise on the ICC board. I know, David, you're running for an executive board position. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about, what it is?
Well, this year I'm running for Secretary Treasurer. Secretary Treasurer, it comes up this year, and I plan to run. Obviously, I've submitted my paperwork. I'm looking for support. I think the important thing about when you're considering running for Secretary Treasurer, what is the vision of ICC? What is the vision of the incoming president and the incoming? And I would say it is, what is the future of ICC? That's what's important to me. What are we looking to in the future? How does the organization remain sustainable? What are the things that we do that we're planning to? Working with the CEO, Dominic Sims, in planning for that so that we can be there to not only serve the members, but also to be there to ensure the code development process continues to be. And those are the things that become important. And are you aligned with that? Are you considering those things? And you got to consider those things when you're going to consider that run, you know? And I would say it's really important. One of the things I want to say that I don't know, maybe the average member, I don't want to say takes it for granted, but maybe doesn't realize. And I would say, a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to have one board meeting outside the United States, and we went out to Barbados to meet with CrossView, and they were going to do the solar program. What we learned as a board is in the United States, it was impressive to me to listen to them of how excited they were to work with and partner with ICC, an organization that not only develops the codes, but also provides the training and the certification to go out and implement those codes. And outside of the United States, they don't have all of that. They have a building code, but then implementation is different. And they were so impressed by ICC that they have all of the components together, and they would love to strive to be like that, because that ability to do all of those components to service the people, that service the people and provide all of that thing in one place is amazing to them. And I guess for myself at that point, maybe I had taken it for granted. I had never realized it because I'd always been around it.
And it is the International Code Council. So, you know, it's everywhere. So codes are important not only in the United States, but everywhere. We see these earthquakes in Chile that are 9 point, nothing happens, and you see one in Haiti that was 4 point something, devastates the whole country for lack of good model codes. You know, and you ran last year, right? And you dodged the bullet this year, right? It's stressful for folks. You know, I've been pinned for walking up the gym, different posters. You know, and it's a stressful thing. Running for the board is stressful, right?
It is, you know, and it's going to be nice to be in Louisville and not have to be on point all the time about running for a position. Get to enjoy the ABM, and there's so much to enjoy. But you know, I really have to give a lot of credit to people who rise to that level of wanting to or being asked to run for an executive position. It's really important to get the right people in there. And anyway, hopefully someday I'll get to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So we are so grateful that we were able to do this today. And we thank you all for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit more about Jim and David. And we're glad that we were able to steal them away.
Thank you, Pete, and thank you, Cecilia. It's an honor because you guys are rising stars, and it is amazing to watch you. I learn more from you
Absolutely.
than you will probably ever learn from me.
I would agree.
You know
Yeah,
what?
thank you so much.
One thing, we had different diversity panels this year because I think for us it's important to, kind of, the women leaders, Black History Month. We did a Cinco de Mayo panel, and you know what? It's watching all these different folks come into our industry, and we come from diverse backgrounds. We're so different. We have different challenges, and it's so important to, kind of say, hey, we're all the same. We're all here for the same common purpose to have a better built environment, right?
Right.
Building and safety. That's why we have Building and Safety Month. We wanted to do a national code enforcement training day, but it couldn't happen. So we're here at Cowboy, with some of our industry leaders because we felt important that it's important for us to relay the message of how important building and safety is. Not only, we don't get the McGruff and we don't get Smokey the Bear, we get David Jim. but at the end of the day, to us, it's very important to get that message out there for those people that that want to get into our industry, because we have a lot of people that aren't in our industry, or we have legislators that want to understand our industry more on why we do what we do, because it's easy to say, hey, how come you didn't approve my plans? I'm like, hey, you have no windows. So for us, it's important to educate the public, let them know why building and safety is so important. And, we appreciate the time you took out from Cowboy and some other class and learning and networking to be with us today.
Well, to be with us today and also to highlight this week, Building Safety Month, we're talking about careers, right? In this industry, that would be one of the things to highlight is this is a perfect example of what the career in the building safety industry brings you. Not only the camaraderie, but the growth, being able to connect with other industry professionals. It's just really an amazing profession to get into.
You're only limited by your own imagination.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the level of commitment. All of us, we're here Mother's Day, right?
That's
We're
right.
here Mother's Day. So we didn't get
Yeah.
to take our significant others or our moms to, out and about to a nice dinner and stuff. And today's Hispanic Mother's Day. So Feliz Dias de las Madres,
Felicia.
So for them, and I'm not
And
hanging out with my
happy
mom
Mother's
today.
Day to all the mothers
Yes, all of them.
that support us and that are in this industry.
Yes.
And I have to give props to Debbie's two boys, my wife. They came over while I wasn't there, fired up the grill, fixed her a steak, brought her flowers. Good job, boys.
That's what they do. That's what we do. That's what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
In our industry, that's what we do.
Make it
You know,
work.
But so with that, special thank you to Debbie Dorsey, who did our background,
Thank you,
stuff.
Debbie.
Thank you. She's always a trooper. We love her to death. So if you guys never met Debbie Dorsey, she is awesome, beautiful, and awesome. With that, anything else? Any closing
I
remarks?
think the closing remark is no dream is too big. Make sure that you tap into your ICC board of directors. They're here. You've met two of them today. You see them around. Stop by, say hi, introduce yourself, reach out. We're all here to help.
Absolutely.
And so with that, thank you so much again. Hope you enjoy the rest of your work week.
Thank you.